The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just flipped their season before it even had a chance to stall. A week ago, they were carrying the weight of past struggles. Now they are walking into Houston with something dangerous: momentum. The win over Atlanta was not pretty, but it was the kind of gut check that resets a locker room. For the first time in months, the Bucs looked like a team that could finish a game when it mattered most. And that's why Week 2 suddenly feels like a test that could reveal whether Tampa Bay is ready to turn a corner or still fighting to escape the shadows. But here is the twist. The Houston Texans are still searching for their first touchdown of the year, and that desperation makes them just as dangerous as a hot team. Their defense is stacked with talent, their head coach has a defensive mindset, and the numbers show exactly where they want to win. They sacked Matthew Stafford 3 times, forced turnovers, and held the Rams to under 300 total yards. If they can keep that energy, Tampa Bay will have to prove that their spark from Week 1 can survive real resistance. This matchup is not just about two teams meeting in September, it is about styles colliding. One side brings a defense loaded with playmakers, the other brings an offense trying to build trust around its new weapons. That is where the story starts to get interesting, because the Bucs skill group might be the key to breaking this game open. And when you look at what Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and Bucky Irving can bring to the table, it raises the question of whether Houston's defense is about to get stretched in ways it has not seen yet. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bucs and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 250 likes on this video. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just added a spark that changes how this offense feels. Emeka Egbuka walked into the league and delivered 4 catches, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns in his first game, and the tape showed trust in big spots, not gimmicks. Pair that with Mike Evans pulling coverage and a young back like Bucky Irving threatening space, and you get a group that can stress a defense at every depth. The shocking part is how fast the chemistry showed up. It makes you ask what happens when defenses roll bodies to Evans and Egbuka still finds grass. Here is what nobody is talking about. Tampa Bay can win in different ways without tipping the play. Evans sets the tone on outs and fades, Egbuka separates on timing routes and crossers, Cade Otton keeps drives alive on stick and seam, and Irving turns screens into first downs when boxes widen. The ball comes out on rhythm, formations shift pictures, and matchups flip from snap to snap. If Houston chases the perimeter, the middle opens. If they squeeze the middle, the sideline turns into a runway. All of that only matters if the quarterback keeps the pace and makes the right call at the right second. That is where this story tilts toward Baker Mayfield. Can he keep the ball moving fast enough to blunt Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter without forcing throws? Can he buy a beat with his legs when timing is clogged and still find the layup? Next, we break down how Mayfield can control the game and why his choices will decide whether this firepower shows up again in Week 2. Tampa Bay needs a steady hand to turn spark into points, and Baker Mayfield just put his name on that job. Nobody expected him to manage chaos with this much calm, yet he kept drives alive with smart throws and timely keepers when space opened. The shocking part is how composed he looked in pressure moments, treating the clock like a tool and the sticks like a target, not a wish. Here is where the stakes rise. Control is not about hero shots, it is about decisions in tight windows. Baker can change a play at the line, steal a free 5 with cadence, slide in the pocket to keep his base, and throw the ball away when the defense wins the snap. Those choices protect a reshaped line, keep field position clean, and set up the next call. When the rhythm clicks, the ball reaches the right jersey on time, and third down turns from a headache into a habit. Now the test gets real. Houston brings speed off the edge and clever eyes in the back end, the kind of mix that punishes slow reads and late throws. If Baker keeps the pace, the Bucs can keep the script on schedule. If he blinks, the rush and the safeties will take their shot. Next, we break down the wall of playmakers waiting on the other side and why this defense can flip a game in one series. The Houston Texans defense is the reason this game could flip in a heartbeat. They close space fast, hit with purpose, and turn clean pockets into chaos. What nobody is talking about is how complete they look at every level, with speed outside, power inside, and smart eyes in the secondary. If Tampa Bay blinks for a second, this group can turn one drive into a turning point. Here is the problem the Bucs must solve. Will Anderson wins off the snap with burst, Danielle Hunter brings power and counters, and Sheldon Rankins pushes the middle so the pocket shrinks. Henry 2020 reads flow and triggers, Azeez Al-Shaair cleans up, and the back end punishes late balls with CJ Gardner-Johnson baiting throws, Derek Stingley Jr. crowding the release, and Jalen Petre jumping windows. They disguise pressure, spin the coverage late, and make a routine throw feel like a gamble. That is why the next piece matters. Tampa Bay has to meet all of that with a protection plan that holds up long enough to let the routes work. Chips on the edge, quick answers for the quarterback, and a run call that slows the rush will decide how this looks after the first quarter. Next, we break down the O-line puzzle that nobody expected, why it worked once, and what has to change to survive this front. Tampa Bay just tore up the depth chart and drew a new one in Penn. Tristan Wirfs is still working back, Luke Godeke is managing a foot issue, yet the protection did not crack when the lights came on. The shock is not that the lineup changed, it is that the group held together when it had every reason to wobble. That surprise is the first clue to how the Bucs can keep the Texans' rush from dictating the night. Here is how the pieces fit. Graham Barton swung out to left tackle and kept his balance. Michael Jordan stepped in at left guard and punched space for the run game. Ben Bredeson handled calls in the middle. Cody Mauch stayed steady at right guard, and if Godeke cannot go, Charlie Heck can take the right edge and play tough snaps. The plan helps them as much as the players do. Quick counts, chips on the hottest rusher, screens that steal free yards, and play action that nudges linebackers a step the wrong way. When the ball leaves on time, edges shrink and the pocket feels a little cleaner. That is the lane to win early downs, but it is only half the story. While Tampa Bay fights to keep Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter from taking over, the other sideline has a protection test of its own. A rookie at left tackle, a center on the injury watch, and a quarterback who was sacked 3 times in Week 1 now see Vita Vea and Haason Reddick across from them. Tampa Bay smells a chance to set the tone with force, and the first punch can land fast. If the pocket shrinks before CJ Stroud reaches his second read, the night tilts toward Red and Pewter. Vita Vea can cave the middle, Haason Reddick can win the corner, and Kalijah Kancey can knife through gaps that are still forming. Add Logan Hall and Yaya Diaby chasing the escape lane, and a clean snap can turn into a hurried throw that invites a mistake. Here's the blueprint that stresses Houston without getting reckless. Show pressure from both edges, then send 3 and drop 8, next snap walk linebackers up and fire a twist inside. Keep Stroud guessing where the rush is coming from and where the help will be. On the back end, Zion McCollum can cap the vertical to Nico Collins, Jamel Dean can crowd the release, Benjamin Morrison brings fresh legs outside, and Christian Isian can buzz the quick game so Dalton Schultz does not steal easy yards. Levante David and Servocia Dennis can wall the middle, rally to the checkdown, and force 3rd and long where the rush can tee off. Finish the job with discipline and the rest of the field starts to break your way. One early takeaway can flip calls on both sidelines, one missed tackle can do the same. The next piece is where small edges become winning paths, the hidden angles that swing drives and decide momentum. Your turn to call it. Drop your score pick and name the first matchup that swings it, Evans against Stingley or Reddick against Titus Howard. How many catches for Emeka Egbuka? How many stops for Levante David? And who records the first sack? If you want more Smart Bucs breakdowns every week, hit subscribe, tap like, and tell me which player will own the moment in the fourth quarter.